Hello, everyone. Um, this is Nikki. I'm going to go over the syllabus on a video instead of, using everyone's time in class. So this is the discussion section for EBL 30, 31, 32. It's one of the Friday morning sections. Basic info here at the top, you're gonna, whichever section you're in there, will be 50 minutes. I do try to stick to the time. I try to be real respectful of everyone's time. So I will be starting at the hour and ending at the 50. And then my office hour is always, 11 a.m. to noon. So that's after the 3 sections. So if you want to keep talking, we can go there. I'm also not going to be, if you can't make one section, you need to make another, that's fine. If you really want to attend multiple, I suppose that's fine. Most of the section material that I create will be on the Google Drive folder. The course material will still be on the main lectures I learn. I think Google Drive just works better and it lets the 3 sections be combined. Please do check your email regularly. I'll do the same. I try to respond within a day. If it's a crunch time, I might be a little slower. If it's a weekend, I might not respond until Monday. My hours are kind of weird, so you may well get a response at 3 a.m. I'm also available. You can call me or text me. If you're going to call, please make an appointment first. You can also make an appointment to see me on Zoom. I won't insist on using the phone. Right, I have the 1 office hour a week that's scheduled, and then the default plan is I have 1 hour just floating through the week where if you email me and ask me for a time, then I will happily give you one. When you do, give me a few options for what's open for you. That way, we don't have to go back and forth too many times. I can just pick one. So attendance, as Dr. Wetstein pointed out, attendance will be taken in sections, so you do need to come to them. Let me know if you will be absent. Please do stay the entire 50 minutes. Please try to show up on time or early, and please don't leave until the end. It's distracting and rude. Yeah, that's all there is to say there, I think. Please come ready to discuss. If you can't do this, that's, fine, still come. It's better to come unprepared than not at all. But we'll all get a lot more out of this. If you are able to, actually be on Zoom, use your camera and such. I don't require camera use. I think it's creepy to ask to see into undergrads' bedrooms, but or at least to demand it. I will ask that you, make yourself present if you can. If not for me, for everyone else, right? Because I don't think we want to do this all with voice, especially given the gravity of the material. I could be wrong. If I get a bunch of y'all emailing me telling me, actually, no, I don't want to see anyone's face, then I guess I will say everyone turn off their cameras. I certainly wouldn't mind being off camera. But, I feel like you would get more from me talking if you can see me, so I'd keep it on. Have done the reading, watched the lectures, and importantly, thought about the material. This class is a philosophy class. You're not going to be graded on whether you memorized a bunch of stuff. I'm not trying to assess you on whether you, paid careful enough attention to the film to answer questions that your middle school English teacher might ask on a pop quiz. I'm here to help you learn how to think about these things. Think more carefully, think with all the rules of rationality at hand, because it's really, really hard. I've been studying it for years and I'm still not that great at it. I think I'm one of the best, but our human brains are just not designed for this. Our human brains were made for mostly surviving in Sort of, I guess to put it bluntly, most of our ancestors are not human, and it shows in some of the features of our minds. Figure out what you need to do to make a Zoom-based discussion work for you. I put that there just because, this is still relatively new to most, if not all of us. And so, yeah, do what you need to do as long as you're not distracting anyone. Feel free to reach out if you have any difficulties. Let me know if you will be unable to participate fully on a given day. Just send me in the chat, like, hey, I'm not feeling great. Please don't call on me because I am the sort of TA who will just ask anyone. This class should be getting, hopefully, everyone into some degree of good discussion. You can miss one section without penalty. For every section missed unexcused, you will lose half a letter grade. In other words, if you miss 3 sections, the highest grade available to you in the course is a B. If you miss 4, then you get a C. If you miss 5, you get a D. No, half letter grade. So if you miss 5, you get a C. If you miss 7, you can't get higher than a D. If you miss 9, then you fail. So show up more than once, please. I am pretty lenient though on excuses. I understand life happens. You have to work. You get sick. Your Wi-Fi cuts out. It'd be really hard for your car to break down on the way to class. I've heard stories of students like zooming in from their dentist appointments. And then the professor demands their cameras on, and everyone has to watch them get their teeth done. I don't want to sit. Please try and leave the hour open every week. It's early Friday morning. Shouldn't be too hard. But if you can't make it, you can't make it. I'm not trying to fail people. The attendance incentive here is mostly because I know if we don't have it, then some people will stop coming and they won't get as much out of the class. And the grade incentive structure should really be here to serve you and your learning needs. Course goals. As per the main syllabus, we'll learn about philosophy. We'll think together through some important philosophical issues, and you will participate actively in both processes. And that's part of why it's important for discussion section for y'all to come every time, because there's just not enough time in the lectures to be talking all the time. So if you come to section, then you can be more active in this. You can talk through some of these problems, because thinking is, I think, fundamentally a dialectical process. You notice most of our thoughts are in words, and words are, well, they're made to communicate with others, right? It was sort of a later idea that some humans had, that we can think those same words to ourselves, and even silently. It was only about 100 years ago that reading silently became popular. Before that, you'd read aloud, and everyone was like, why would you just read in your head? It's only something for like neurotic recluses. Not that there's a problem with being a neurotic recluse. The society at the time was not a fan, though, at least in America. I'm admittedly underinformed on the reading habits of other places in the world in history. Anyway, course material. You need to acquire the 3 books. If you have trouble, let me know. If everything else is going to be on iLearn, so make sure you, again, do the readings. Required written work. All exams will be take home. There'll be 2 in-class midterms and a 2-hour final. The questions won't be tricky. It's just to see if you're clear about the ideas. And again, the ideas. So the nitty-gritty details of a text are not super important. The thoughts that we talk about and developing those thoughts are, you should understand the positions in the debates that we go through. You should be able to, give a compelling case for either side, right? If a significant number of reasonably well-informed people are saying something, then they have a reason for it. You should be able to give the reason even if you disagree. Um, at the same time, it's not easy. So I'm going to focus a lot of what we're doing on helping you with your writing. And for that purpose, there's going to be pre and post class assignments that are going to be, again, to help you out on learning to write. They're not required. They're ways for you to participate more, but also to get more more writing practice. And then sometimes I'll use them during the discussions as a way to talk about things, like just sort of thinking prompts, get the discussion going. If this course helps you improve your writing, it will have been a success no matter what you learn. I think the same is true with thinking about evil, but you know, writing is going to help you in any field. I'm of course biased being an academic, but I have a background in any number of other fields, and people who can write are so hard to find. I've reviewed a lot of resumes when in the position of hiring people, and I've noticed even people with graduate educations will not be on point with their writing. Though at the same time, I want to emphasize that this is not a grammar class, it's not an English class. My point is not to tell you the rules, the English language, and as such, I won't be grading on whether or not you know how to follow them. As I said in the chat and lecture, I think grading on grammar in a non-grammar in a class that isn't about that language's grammar is just kind of racist, or at least chauvinistic. So to avoid Anglo chauvinism, the idea here with writing, right, is to be, it's going to be about arrangement of ideas, right? You might want to think of the phrase, right? Like you put some phrases together and that makes a sentence. That's true in most languages. And you put sentences together to, you know, each sentence contains like some basic idea, and then you put the basic ideas together into paragraphs. Those will be your, you know, each main idea needs a paragraph, and then you put paragraphs together in some sort of paper or whatever you're writing. It's important that when I'm going to be giving, you know, comments on all of your exams. So when you get it back, you're going to want to review my comments. And if you want more, then you know, just email me and let me know, and we'll talk about more. First exam is planned for February 2nd. That's in a few weeks here. Then the second exam is 3 weeks later, and in 2 days. These dates may change depending on how long it takes to go over the materials. So, but they're, again, take-home exams, so you don't need to, you just need to make sure you have some time in there to do them. And then the grading, so you earn your 100% through these three. And again, it really is my goal to, it is my ideal that everyone gets an A in this course. And it is the case that last quarter, I was able to be very happy with the outcome. Because of prep, I can't say exactly how it turned out, but I was very, very happy with last quarter. I think this quarter can go well too. So attendance is how you can lose the points. We already talked about that. Participation, those are ways you can improve your grade. And likewise, improvement, that's another way you can improve your grades. So if you fail the first exam and then do better on the second and then do better on the third, that'll count for a lot. As far as participation goes, I'll go over that in a minute, how you can earn some participation. Course content. So the first lecture, we already went over that. Section week 1, we're not going to need to cover the syllabus because you have this video now, but we're going to introduce the section. We're going to discuss pre-class thoughts and maybe a few other things. I'm still thinking about it. Unit 2, there's going to be some reading on iLearn, another film, Thin Red Line, and we're going to discuss the film in section 2. And likely a lot of the things that have come up before, right? I mean, I give these plans for the sections, but in reality, we can discuss really whatever happens in class because things are so, the way this class is arranged, it really is going to depend on what the class is thinking and how the class responds to material to know how our discussions will go. Even the lectures seem to be about that way, right? That's why the exams are uncertain on their time. It'll be a 1-hour exam. Same with the second exam, 1-hour exam. But discussion guidelines. So if you haven't been watching, I sincerely hope you at least pay attention to this part. I encourage you to use the chat anytime to answer questions, pose concerns, or raise objections. I think the how lecture went was great. I'd like to see that sort of activity in section 2. All ideas are welcome for discussion. And that's a tricky thing to navigate, especially in the current tense political, etc. environment we're in. If you agree, you can agree, but don't just say I agree. Like, cool story. Add something. Say why you agree. If you're ever unsure what to say, just what are you thinking? Why are you thinking that? If you disagree with someone, please just speak up. Philosophers love it when you disagree with us, so I'll be forthcoming with all my views. If you want to tell me I'm completely wrong, go ahead. Asking questions is also pretty good. If someone says something and you don't understand it, or you don't understand why they said it, please ask. Questions can help clarify what someone says. It can also bring up the reasons for why they believe something. This is really the space to get acquainted with really different and diverse ideas. My role as TA is just to facilitate the discussion, so you're going to get more out of this if this is mostly y'all. I'm here as a wealth of knowledge and wealth of arguments. I might play devil's advocate here or there. If you ever, want an objection to something, you can go ahead and ask me. I will play whatever role I'm asked there. But the key here is this discussion is y'all's discussion, and you've hired me to moderate. You're all welcome to try out ideas as well, or I guess I'm hired as a little more than a moderator. A few kinds of resource, but not a discussion participant, right? You're all welcome to try out ideas. That was kind of what I was getting at with the say what you're thinking, but yeah, I don't always believe every idea I try out in philosophy, and this is like a playground where you can just, or a testing room, like think of this like the lab of thought. Take a thought, throw it to your sense of reason, see if it still holds up, throw it to the group, see if anyone else can find something that they find wrong with it. If you get really nervous about, if you don't want to commit yourself to something, I mean, I know social pressures still exist. You can also say, hey, I've been thinking about this idea. What does everyone think of it? Does it seem like, even if you're like, I don't like that this seems right, but I can't figure out why it's wrong. Can I even figure out why this is wrong? Please take turns while talking to the microphone. Hopefully that's clear. If a lot of people want to talk at once, we can start using the hand raise feature. Racism, sexism, classism, ableism, any other form of bigotry are in themselves unacceptable. Meaning don't engage in that shit even outside of class, but in class we're discussing ideas that will be, in fact, themselves racist, sexist, classist, ableist, and bigoted. You can't understand evil, which is very often bigoted, without talking about the ideas behind it. So handle it with care. Understand that there's gravity to these discussions. People are dead. Maybe people's family members. Maybe people care about. We're going to be talking about some of the gravest harms humanity has inflicted on itself. So just keep that in mind. This is the fact that we're able to discuss these things in this environment is a nice privilege for us. Let's respect that fact. If you're not talking, mute your mic. Or I'll do it for you. Camera should be on. Like I said, if you got a problem with that, just let me know. I'm not gonna be awful about it. Discussions will be recorded unless I say otherwise. Please don't redistribute the recordings. I want this to be, as I've heard from others, usually in the LGBT center, what's said here stays here, what's learned here leaves here. So, come learn a bunch of stuff. But then don't go out and start telling a bunch of people what other people said. Don't go sharing the recording that has what people said. Like, in order for this to be a safe place for everyone to feel comfortable trying out ideas, you need to be able to try out ideas and know it's not going to come back to hurt you as soon as you leave. So for active participation, there's a few ways to get it. Lecture, if you're in lecture and you talk, substantially, or if you're in the chat, that'll count. If you talk in section, that'll count. Again, talk or chat. Office hours also counts. Maybe you're shy and don't want to talk in front of 20 to several hundred people. Just come talk to me about what you're thinking. That counts too. The point of this participation is to make sure that you are actively engaging with the material. It's not your responsibility to make the class good. Completing pre or post class assignments, which I will post, those count as bonus points. Again, you never have to do any of them. The pre-class assignments will be made available on iLearn, as I said. They're due pre-class assignments before section, post-class assignments before the next section. And also, if you go to the Writing Center, virtually, I guess, that will also count towards participation, because I strongly advise you to take your work, go to the Writing Center, learn how to write better, and that'll count. Because that, the fact that you're going to them instead of me, I'm not going to count you down for that. Tips for success. So this is where I tell you how to learn the most you can from this class and hopefully get an easy A. Read actively. Our goal is not just to copy what's in the text into our heads, but to think deeply about evil, with the text guiding us through idea space. So by read actively, I mean, ideally, you can skim it first, and then once you know what is going to be in the text, go through, take notes, write down what you're thinking. If anything strikes you as interesting, make a note of it. If you have questions, make a note of it. If you think the author is really wrong in some important way, keep your thoughts and save them. Try out ideas. I think I've talked about this enough. And speak and write what you think. Talk to each other about this. Use a discussion board. Use a Discord. It's not official, which would be an easier venue if it's your first try on an idea. And there's a typo there. Cool. Write your thoughts down just for yourself. Writing stuff down offers a massive boost in how much you can be thinking about and adds visual organization. It's also really satisfying. It's been demonstrated that things you write down, you remember much better than things you only read or only hear. It's been shown actually journaling is effective in depression, as much as once the thoughts are out there, you're able to think about them. This is probably not going to be a therapeutic class, but getting in the practice of writing it works for that reason. For the same reason it works here, your mind only has so much working memory at a time. And when, if you try and think about too much at once, you'll drop some out and then you'll come back to that same thought and it won't still be in your memory. So it might even seem kind of new. You end up going in circles. And write your thoughts down however that's easy for you. I personally like to just draw flowcharts all over some blank paper. I think most people like lines and they just write in paragraph form. But whatever works for you. These are all ideas you need to try. And college is about learning how to learn, right? You have these 4+ years of instructors guiding you through the learning process, and then for the rest of your life, you're just, for the most part, on your own. So if you ever need to figure something out again, well, thankfully you've already figured out how to learn a few things. And philosophy, this is one more intro course. I don't expect you already know how to do philosophy. I expect you to figure out how to do philosophy at a basic level. And when taking notes, try and capture the most important, when you're taking your class notes, I mentioned reading notes before, when you're taking your class notes, try to capture the most important points and keep track of thoughts and questions you have along the way. Again, this is more of a thinking course and less of a memorization course. So if you write down some insight, like an insightful question is often way cooler than knowing some fact, more useful to this class at least. And come exam time, if I see that you have really thought through some ideas and you're saying stuff that gets what the course content was, but then shows that you really sat down and thought about this and you've gone farther, you've gone beyond the text, that will be the best thing. And that is the end of this video. If you have any questions, please feel free to send me an email or text for that matter. See you tomorrow.